Started, guys. Welcome to the Solidity Insurance Group team call. My name's Marisa Maggio. Super excited to be on with all of you guys today. It is April 9th of 2026, so we're officially in quarter two. Now, each and every week, we truly take a step back and look at what does the team need to hear? What does the message need to be, and who do they need to hear it from, most importantly? Because through my time in this industry, I myself have needed different messages through different people. And that's just the way of the business. And quite frankly, one of the best things about this business. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Art Forrest. Art, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Blessed and highly favored. How you doing today?
I can't hear you that well.
Okay, let me go ahead and switch to audio. Maybe that helps.
You're going to switch the audio up? All right, you're the man. Thank you. And while Art's doing that, guys, one of the biggest reasons that I have Art on with us today, when we had the opportunity to go out to Miami and spend some time with the creator of Ringba and talk about inbounds, Art's really been, instrumental to that process and seemed extremely dialed in, to say the absolute least, in terms of the inbound process. So that's really what we're going to be talking about today. And just to preface this call, I want to make sure, because sometimes we don't ask questions that we should ask, right? When I'm saying an inbound call, guys, I don't mean like you get a veteran lead and they call you. I mean like your phone is ringing with the client with intent to buy life insurance. That's an inbound, right? And outbound is when we're calling leads. Do both ways work? Absolutely. But we're going to be really focused on that inbound lead style today. And Art, let me know when you got that audio up and rolling.
I'm hoping it's working now. Can you hear
Yes,
me
you're
better?
rocking. How are you doing
There we
today?
go. Oh my goodness, I'm blessed and highly favored. It's an absolute incredible opportunity to speak to you today. How you feeling?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for being on with us today. I definitely don't take it lightly. I don't take your time lightly. So I appreciate you and I appreciate the time.
Of course, of course. I'm here to help.
All right, and Art, for those folks out there who maybe haven't had the chance to kind of meet you or get to know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you were doing prior to insurance, and why Family First Life.
For sure, most definitely. For the ones that I do know, I want to say welcome, good seeing everybody again. For the ones I haven't met yet, I'm looking forward to be able to shake your hand. My name's Arthur Forrest, born and raised in Southern California, Chino Hills to be exact. Played sports my entire life from through high school, ended up getting a scholarship at the University of Nevada, Reno to play football. Finished out, got my business management for degree. That didn't do anything. It was a piece of paper, to be honest with you. After I got out of college, the first thing that you want to do is, figure out how to become a millionaire immediately. The first two things that you see is always real estate or financial services. Financial services isn't a cute thing. I'll just be bluntly honest with you. You see it throughout the process and you compare it to the prime Americas of the world. I don't know if we can say names here. I do apologize, but I was never interested in it. Okay. So went the other way, the latter half of them, went to real estate, did very well. The only thing that was different between real estate and what we're doing now is there was no time freedom. It was a 7-day grind, 90 hours just for sole proprietorship. If it wasn't trying to do um, comp and trying to find somebody, it was trying to get somebody approved and going through escrow, ins and outs. So open houses, it was just no time for my family that I wanted to grow. With time, the reason how I got introduced to this insurance industry is my upline is I was blessed. I have one of the best trainers in the entire nation. Mr. Stephen Yee was the one that introduced this company to me. Same because of real estate. You have a whole book of business that you already have. You can go through them and sell a mortgage protection, thinking that was a great way of it. I just got into it for selfish reasons, to be bluntly honest with you. It wasn't because of transitional periods. But I've been in the industry for a multitude of years now. I first got my license in 2018. I've seen all the valleys and peaks of the world. So I love this industry because it's taught me everything I know mentally, adversity and go through challenges and displacements and know how to arise through all challenges. Here we are to fast forward the story. We'll get through it. But yeah, I don't see myself going anywhere outside of that. I'm an insurance agent for life now.
I love it. And I love, the introduction, right? It's like we all kind of go, like you said, from college. I got that same piece of paper, Art, so I'm with you there, man. Didn't do a whole lot with it. Expected kind of the same thing coming out of college, though. It's like, what am I going to do? How am I going to become a millionaire, right? And
Right.
you were grinding, you were working real estate 90 hours a week. You're like, I wanted some time freedom. I wanted to be able to, spend time with my family, my friends. do the
That's
things I
it.
wanted to do coming out of college, which is a fair thing to do or to want. So Stephen Yee, who is absolutely amazing in my eyes as well, introduced you to the business. And
Correct.
since then, you really haven't taken a look back and you've been with FFL for about 2 years. Is that right?
Collectively, yes, it's been changed my life through and through.
Amen. Absolutely. And it's changed mine too. And I love how you brought up the mental adversity that we have to go through because that's like 95% of the challenge long term in this business. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say the mindset it was the biggest shift because in real estate it was all about sorting, for building out your pipeline. You had to have a transitional thought coming from that type of business to here because we're not convincing people or guiding people to go into the right direction. It's not cold call leads. We're talking to somebody that was pre-sold with the idea or the intentions to get it. So I had to learn how to be a guideful person as opposed to a salesperson, if that makes sense.
I love that. I love that a lot. Being someone who can guide somebody versus somebody who's just trying to sell a product. And it's a big differentiator. Now, when you came in, were you running inbounds, outbounds? What did that look like for you first getting started?
Oh, first getting started, I touched everything, any and everything that you can
Any and
think of.
everything.
I actually started off with age leads for the first strong portion. And when I say age, I mean aged, not the
You
six
mean like
month ones that we have. Two,
you mean like a
3.
few years age, like Steven's
Yeah.
old leads aged?
Yeah, anybody probably ran through 10 different times already. It was just somebody to sort to. So my first week, actually, I went to Trey Honeycutt's office and just sat there and listened. I'll be bluntly honest. I was supposed to be booking appointments, but my first day, I just listened to I asked who were the top producers. I listened to them. I gave them my ear. I asked a couple questions here and there, but I just had a pen and paper. I was more so, it wasn't exactly what they were saying because I know it was scripted. It was how they were saying it. And that was the biggest thing that I had to absorb. The downwards inflections, know how to pause, know you're speaking to elders as opposed to people, first-time home buyers are in their 30s, 40s, so they're prompt, they're ready to move. So learning how to mirror match the tonalities and their pace as well. Using those same old leads, I had a batch about 200 of them, and they were a few years old, not a couple, a few. And out of 250 leads, I was able to close 5 policies for 7K my first week, and it was kind of hard to turn around from that.
There we go. When you start off like that and like you start with it seemed you were very coachable. Like you said, you sat in Trey's office for like a week. You wrote down things, not necessarily what people were saying, but how they were saying it because you
Correct.
understood the importance of tonality, inflection, working with older people versus younger people, how that needs to sound, etc. That whole preface of matching and mirroring, which I think is huge. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, when you talked about your first week, you were at that point over the phone. Is that right?
Yes, it was over the phone and in person. No, actually,
Okay.
no, it was live. It was in person. I was going to people's houses.
Yeah, you were still in people's houses. Okay, got you. So it was like 7K, 250 leads, probably made a ton of dials, put a ton of activity, got a ton of rejection, but just kept moving.
Right.
Because like if
Right.
anybody picks up a stack of, leads that are a few years age, right? We're gonna get rejection. Guys, it's
Mhm.
super normal to get rejection in this industry. Now, where some of us mess up are is we don't get that correction, right? I'm
Mhm.
gonna kind of speed past that right now though. So you were predominantly doing like outbound leads, right? And
Correct.
now you and your group, correct me if I'm wrong, do all inbound. Is that right?
Yes, I'll say about 85% of our group does purely inbounds at this point.
Perfect. And roughly how long have you guys been predominantly inbound at this point?
Oh, we're still in our infancy stages. Even though we're doing pretty good, this is the first 3 months as a collective. Everybody's on it. Mhm.
Beautiful. And if you could tell us a little bit about kind of the biggest differences that you've seen when you were working, outbound leads, so to say, versus inbound. And why did you decide to go all inbound with the team?
Good question. Well, as a scene, that's where we're not, traditionally naturally gravitating to. Being able to work all phases of the business. Now, I'm not going to say that there's one favorite or right from wrong because all leads work as long as that you do. And I'm glad that you kind of wanted to preface to what you were saying, Rick. That's actually very important. As long as you put in those hours, that speed and confidence is going to be matter more than just over explaining stuff. Make sure that you put in those. So the reason why we are actually going to inbounds as opposed to outbounds It's a harder game to make that transition. I just want to make sure people understand that it's more expensive. It's actually the most expensive way. However, as long as you understand your KPIs, the key performance indicators like your ROAS, cost of the sale, cost per acquisition, how much it's going to cost to get to our lead, so on and so forth. You notice that the numbers are essentially the same. So it costs more upfront, but in the long run, you're going to be able to win. The reason why we started getting everybody inside is because we had enough testing points or data to know that this actually does work. It's not just a concept anymore. It's a proof of concept that we had multiple successes have the same exact numbers. Industry wide, that we know that if you put $1 in, that you want to be able to bring back 4 to 6 and over the course of time. The first month, it seemed like it was lower, but we didn't have enough calls to be able to give that call to them. After we had 3 people inside the office do the interns, and we had 2 weeks where we're looking at each other's numbers, it's like, wait a minute, we're almost identical. You just took more calls, you just accepted more calls. Those KPIs, the numbers and the numbers, as you always hear that. So once we actually realized that you can make that 4 to 6 back, the ROAS is essentially the same of what you're doing. We know is that we're buying back our time now. We're not on the phones with an intermediary waiting for people to answer the phones or have some stranger that we haven't had the opportunity to speak to yet, calls and what is this about? Well, I didn't feel that those top 3 objections, those kind of go out the door now because these people are with higher intent. They just now saw a commercial social media platform and they want it right now. They're at least inquiring or inquisitive on it at this very moment. So it allows you, I know I'm being long with you, I apologize for that, but it allows you to buy back your time. And eventually, once you get good at it, it allows you to essentially buy your volume. Is how you want to be. So,
I love that. And I think that it's what the whole business goes back to, right? Is numbers and knowing your numbers and being able to understand them. And I love how you brought up, like, there was in the beginning, first couple of weeks, there was 3 of you in the office and you guys kind of did out the data. You're looking at your KPIs and you guys are kind of like, wait, this is all kind of evening up the same. But,
yes,
if you bought more leads than me, you probably wrote more because you took more calls, right? And
exactly.
I love the aspect of buying back your time. Guys, some of us will or I don't know about your group, but I have people who will sit on Zoom for 12, 14 hours a day. And I'm like, I'm hoping they're calling and I'm hoping that they're making sales. But like for all I know, they could be sitting on, Nordstrom.com or,
Right.
their Nike.com or their favorite website, right? So with this, it's almost like, you're forced to get in front of people. And I love that because if you're like, hey, I want to get in front, I want to have 10 billable calls a day, hypothetically, it's
Mhm.
like you know what you expect. And when you have a bad day, you know that the numbers are just going to make up for it if you keep
Exactly.
going, right?
Power of
So I
one.
love that. Now this is a question that, it might be a conflict, but you tell me, Art,
Okay.
who might inbound leads not be for?
It's not for somebody that you don't have confidence in yourself yet. It's not the inbounds, it's not the buyer, it's not the lead type, it's not the soft phone or the hard phone. It's not none of that. It's the in between your temples, honestly. The ones that are successful are the ones that are, in polite words, ignorant, like for the actual definition of it. Don't understand, don't know anything. Just tell me what to do and I'm gonna do it. Those are the ones that are coming out killing it. We have agents that came out the first month writing $30,000 off of inbounds alone because they understand the math game. So in order to make it real, you got to be able to invest in yourself, treat it as an actual entrepreneur. I mean, we're professionals getting into profession. You might as well treat it like a professional, right? That's the biggest concern I can say. This is the mental. It's not for the person that's I think I could, I hope I could. It's the I know I can person that's gonna kill it.
I love that. Yeah. Confidence is everything. It's relayed over the phone. It's relayed when you're face to face with somebody. I'm sure we can all think of a time we've seen a friend and they're like, what's wrong? Because you just look not confident. You just don't sound confident. And then you tell them this whole story that just happened. So, guys, if you're not confident yet, this might not be for you. But if you are confident, you can just convey that over the phone. I love how you brought up ignorance. Ignorance is bliss at times, guys. Like Art just talked about having people who never wrote insurance coming in their first month in issuing 30K because they weren't stuck up here. They were just like, oh, this is what the numbers say is going to happen. and they just followed that trajectory. Now, with that being said, if I were, maybe a new agent just getting started with you, Art,
Mhm.
what would that look like? Like what trainings do you do weekly, if any? What does average lead spend look like, for a new versus seed? Like, how would you bring me in, so to say?
Very, very good question. So, in order to come into our industry or our group, we're very, very close knit. Everybody's treated like family. In our Telegram group, everybody knows each other by the first and last name. You usually see about 30 different likes in between each sale because we built that. That's a culture that was created by us. So we set strong expectations before they even get inbounded. We actually get to the point where I'm saying this respectfully, we push people away. We want to ask knockout questions. Are you afraid of chargebacks? Are you afraid of hard work? Are you willing to put in the 40, 60 hours a week in order to get to transitioning and accelerate your learning curve? We tell them about how much leads cost. If you don't have the money, that's okay. We can go through your sphere of influence and sell one, two, three people, and then understand that that money is not your money. That's going to be the house money to reinvest back into your business. Simple expectations we tell people about, especially now with inbounds. Since it's being the most expensive, quote unquote, to start, it doesn't mean that it's the most expensive to play. It's just the first initial investment. After that, yours is going to be using your house money over and over. So for new agents coming in, I ask them how much of discretionary or disposable income that they have that they're willing to reinvest initially. If they're within that under $1,000 threshold, tell them it's okay to do outbounds for a little bit, just so you can get through the practice, get through the sucky part of it, go through your reps until you get the investments, or even sphere of influence. That's a good way as well. Not to ask anybody for favors, but people that genuinely need insurance within your friends. I'm pretty sure you know 2 to 5 people within your contact list that you can get a policy from that point when they actually understand, all right, we need about at least $1,500. And this is the number too. If you're taking down any notes, I will write this down too for people that you're going to bring in. This is the magic number for us. We tell people in order to get into inbounds, you should start off with bare minimum $1,500. Okay. It's $1,500 a set point. For reason why we chose that number, 1,500, if you just do it, break it down, reverse engineer it. 1,500, knowing that the rate of sales or rate per call is anywhere between $50 to $85 per call, depending on which vendor that you're using it from. So, taking that number, 1,500 divided by 50 to 80, is going to give you approximately 25 to 30 opportunities or inbounds that you're going to go past that threshold. Okay. So once you have 30 conversations, now you have to just put it back to reality. A couple years ago, before all this inbound and telesales stuff, it was a blessing to get 20 appointments in a week, 30 appointments in a week. You're a killer. Now we're teaching everybody to do 30 appointments in that same confined time. $1,500 to get you 25, 30 conversions, I guess, conversations. At a 20% closing clip, 1 out of every 5, that means that you're going to sell 5 to 6 sales. Knowing our average premium for the people that are looking for the $2 a day, even if you want to say that conservative manner, that's going to be about $60 to $80 a month, which on average, if you take those 5 to 6 sales times that by the AP, that's going to get you about 6,000 ish. AP issue
Yeah.
paid. And I mean, you put $1,500 into 3, 4x your investments, and that's at a 20% closing clip, 1 out of every 5. And then your money is always, you don't necessarily have to invest more. You just got to get better. Eventually get to a 30% closing clip, 35%, even 40%. We have people who are closing at a 37% closing clip right now over the first 3 months. So the numbers are the numbers. Just keep that into accountability. We teach our incomers the framework is that you're not gambling. You're buying the opportunity to get that conversion rate that you need to be. What's
Right.
most important. This is giving those power statements and letting in, and more so, we got to make sure that you believe in yourself. Okay, without belief in the system, then you're wasting your time. So we instill a lot of belief in our new agents. So that's what I'm talking about. There you go. We mess up right here. Let's try again one more. Constant repetition. And also last thing, goodness gracious, I talk too much. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're killing it.
The last thing that we do is called a release presentation. So a release presentation is essentially when you have somebody that's coming through the process, you give them their script. You have a couple examples that they can watch, whether audibly or visually. And once they go through the script, practice it a few times with their, sphere of influence, then they come to their upline. And their upline has to give them a release, quote unquote, actual practice before they get down the real field. So that has helped out significantly as well.
I love that. And I love how you talked about like building a culture is a real thing. Like, your teammates look at each other like family, and you guys are pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of you guys are together in an office. Is that right?
Yes, we do have two different offices. We try to stay close knit as possible.
I love that. And I love how you talked about like we're looking to disqualify people. Like you don't want to work with somebody who you have to beg to show up to the office. You don't want to
Mhm.
work with somebody who's like, what do you mean? I have to spend money to invest in my own business. Like you're like, okay, like that's not a good fit for my team, for my culture. That's not the kind of person I'm looking for. And you're okay with asking hard questions to put that person, so to say, let them know, hey, they're not a good fit. Like you're okay with doing that. Is that fair to say?
Yes, most definitely. I mean, you
I
got to
love
be able
that.
to watch your business.
Because you're protecting your culture at the end of the day. And that's the most important thing through any team. So I love that. And then guys, like I don't know if you rocked with our, I know I did on the $1,500 spend. That's huge. Okay. $1,500, you're going to have 20 to 30 conversations. Conversations where you're able to get to the end, conversations where it's about how can I get better, right? Like, or I'm going to be fully transparent with you. I started doing the inbounds. My first day, I was like, dude, like, did I ever sell insurance at a high clip? Like,
Trust me,
what
I
is
get
going on here? Like,
it.
like, but I was trying to be more of like, like almost just using more of those that outbound terminology, right? Like, it's trying to strong close, things like that, versus treating it like exactly what it is. Guys, somebody called in regarding life insurance, and it's flat like that, right? Now,
Mhm,
being able to give somebody that metric of, okay, 1,500 25 to 30 opportunities to get in front of somebody. You're probably going to close around five, even if you're terrible and closing at 20%.
mhm,
Love you guys. I've closed at 20% before. We just get better from there. And that's the good news. And being able to understand that, like, it's just rinse, wash, repeat. And like, for me, the way I look at inbounds is almost like the quicker I can get this out of the way, right? The quicker I can talk to more people, the quicker I'm
mhm.
able to free up that time. And I think
Mhm.
that that's a really important part of it. So, that being said, have you had agents on your team, Art, who were working maybe outbound? They started going inbound and they had a positive experience?
Yeah, and I've seen the opposite too. People that started off on inbounds that needed a quick break and went on outbounds. And that kind of goes back to what Andrew Taylor says all the time. All leads work if you do. All leads suck to an extent too. It was just call it for what it is. They're good, bad, and indifferent. We're dealing with the full spectrum of humans. So it's not necessary to lead, it's just the person you speak to. The numbers game is a numbers game in all facets. Yes, there are a lot of people that started off with outbounds, especially for the ones that are coming in with unlimited budget. Now, let's just be bluntly honest. Anybody that's coming into the insurance realm, and there's a select few, there's an anomaly, but they're typically in a financial position that they're trying to get themselves out of. This isn't an industry that's like, hey, let me go ahead. I'm already multi super successful. Let me go add this in addition to, unless you already have that seven-figure exit strategy and you're just trying to do it again. People typically get into this industry to see money for the first time. So with that being said, yes, if you can start with inbounds immediately, great, but that doesn't mean that you don't use the other side of this business too. We became an almost billion-dollar industry off of pure outbounds. And inbounds is still an infancy thing. So for if you're still doing the outbounds, don't think that you're doing anything wrong. Just get your money, just keep on doing what works, and then eventually you can phase into the secondary phase of it. Um, and then also we have some agents that go into outbound and get fully immersed into that lifestyle. I can ask, oh, I'm not interested. I didn't fill that out, and they can spit those answers, rebuttals immediately. And then when they get onto inbounds, like you said, it's a somewhat of a different mindset. They're ready to get into like a fight or a battle, and it's not there. And they're like, wait, all my strength points are just taken away from me, essentially. So you just, even though it's the same person, is you handle it just a little bit more differently. What I realize is that outbounds is a little bit more, you have to be a little bit more emotional based because you have to paint the picture of them not being here any longer, that beneficiary, going through those stresses, how would that look? You have to go through those moments with them. With inbounds is more transactional. Somebody's seen something on TV, but wait, there's more. Call this number now and you can get it. They're all right. What's the price? Let me get this done. How fast can I get this taken care of? So it's just tone, speed, pace. It's different from inbounds or outbound. So yeah, there's a
I
lot of
love
people
that.
successful from.
And you led with like a lead, basically, right? If you suck, the
Mhm.
lead sucks. If you're great, the lead's great. Like, guys, it's really comes back to how we feel about ourselves that day or that
Mhm.
moment or that week or that month. Like, act your way into feeling, right? And you said, like outbounds were more painting pictures is a lot more emotional. I would totally agree with that. Versus an inbound, yeah, sure, you're painting pictures. It might be a bit more transactional, but that's simply because they called you for the insurance at that exact moment.
Right.
Now, when you're talking with folks, what is probably the biggest struggle on an inbound lead that you have to overcome? Like once you're on the phone with me, Art. Like I'm on the phone, I'm like, yeah, I'm in California. My date of birth is 9/3/50, and I know it costs something. What's the biggest thing we're getting from there?
I'm still trying to figure that out in real time with you. I wish I had a definite response. But first thing that came to mind is this, the first 90 seconds speed is going to equate to money. Okay, the first 10 to 20 seconds is all about control, about pace. And then after you hear their response or how they respond to you, that's how you're going to adjust the next 20 to 60 seconds. If you sound unsure, now this is something that I say on a daily basis, especially for people who come out. If you sound unsure, you will lose authority with these people on inbounds. Okay. You on outbound, sometimes you say, I'm sorry that I'm a new agent. I just want to control. Let me ask my upline. No, they don't do that here. Inbounds, you have to be that person. You have to be that woman. You have to be that man. So if you sound unsure, you're going to lose authority. If you sound structured, they're going to follow or at least listen to the next line. Okay. So if I was to give you a tactical tip, I would say the first thing is take control early, get your script and know how you want to say it repetitively over and over and over again. And so it's like me asking, hey, what's your middle name? That's how easy you should be able to say the first two lines of your script. Don't ask too many open-ended questions. Try to stay on the lines of the script. There's a psychology that's behind it. You ask them certain questions in certain positionings for reasons. So try not to make it your own. Just stay to the script. Um, Moving with through the underwriting with flow, with grace. I think that's the thing. Just talking with grace and like comfortable, because this is a transfer of energy. You have to be able to have people understand that I am the doctor in this situation, you know?
I love that. And I love how you mentioned like if you sound unsure, like you're gonna lose authority. It's like when they're calling, you have to sound like you're sure of your middle name or your date of birth, right? I
Right.
always talk about that same thing with the script, especially those first few lines. If somebody woke you up in the middle of the night, I always say you should be able to rip them right there and like, these are the lines, right? Like, and it's just allowing you to be that much confident in the open so that way
Mhm.
the client is already building trust with you and that trust factor becomes there. So I
Right.
love that. And the open-ended questions, like some of us, like I've been there before, like you're just kind of like, okay, what are we talking about? So you ask a question, but instead of asking a closed-ended question we know the answer to, we ask an open-ended one, like, well, Art, like you don't have any life insurance, but like you're mentioning you need your daughter around to make the decision. Is she around? Like now you just lost the sale. Like
Done.
congratulations, right? Like
Hang it up.
yeah, click, right? Then they'll probably call back and talk to Art and he's going to close it, right? So just same thing. It sounds like being able to make sure that you're taking control early and often. And also making sure that you know the script, just like you would know to your point, if somebody says to you, like, I didn't send that in on an outbound, we know exactly what to say. Boom, boom, boom. Same thing with an inbound, but you're literally looking at a script. So I love that energy and how you're saying like it's transferred of energy. And it really is.
Mhm.
Like, guys, there's days I'm on the phone and I've been doing this for a long time, and I'll be like, Arthur, like And it's just like that's how it came out. But it's like you can come back from that, okay? As long as you believe you can up here. Like, and I'll be Arthur, I'm just quickly getting back to you. I'm sorry, it's been a long morning. Like whatever it might be, and boom, going into it. Same thing with the inbounds. It's like the first 90 seconds, you're mastering it, you're taking the control, and you're understanding where you're at with that person. And you also said something else really, really important, Art. You said, that first 90 seconds is going to dictate essentially the next 60 seconds and the 60 seconds after that. You have to
Mhm.
kind of rock with what they're saying to lead, guide, and direct them to the right place.
So true.
Love that. Um, Now, outside of anything that we just talked about, Art, so full transparency, like one of the biggest reasons I had you on, first, I got to meet you like face to face, and you would just you're super kind, you're smart,
Thank you.
but it doesn't seem like you have this huge like ego and you're like, I'm awesome, go me. You're just like, hey, I'm just following a system and like I'm not special or anything like that. Would that be a fair read?
Oh, you got it down packed. Now, if you would have met me 6 years ago, it would have been a different story. But in sometimes you need to go through certain situations to grow. I'm kind of glad that you brought that up. Trey always says that the best blessings come in the ugliest wrapping paper. 6 years ago, my family ended up losing all was at the house as well. The house burned down because of a brush fire. Ended up losing literally everything. I didn't own anything at that point. All material possessions that I bought over the course of my life was gone overnight. That wasn't a problem though. It was my father. That was the stress as he built that house with his own hands and three of his friends. They ended up leaving him with a heart attack and 6 strokes over that course of 12 months after. And I immediately became like the head of the house. So this industry was fulfilling because when I was in the situation or in the biggest valley of life, you start realizing what really matters. And to be bluntly honest with you, money, I didn't even really care about money at that time either. It was health, family, the importance of why you want to wake up the next day. What makes you want to get up on the right side of the bed and push again? There's another term that Stephen told me, and it's actually he said this 2 weeks ago. He said the word passion. The word passion, even though we think of it one way, it has a whole totally different meaning. If you're to look at the Latin term and actually see where it's derived from, it means to suffer. And the full word of passion is finding something that's worth suffering for.
Mhm.
So it eventually became a passion, a true passion, because not only that I'm able to provide for my family, but I'm able to provide for the people that don't have that legacy put in place. We're making the world a better place. And losing everything makes you realize having an ego is probably the dumbest thing that you can do for yourself. If you are very selfless and you have a why that's more purposely driven, that's bigger than money, yeah, it is easy to be, a selfless and egoless type of person. It's just the world moves faster and better that way, personally.
Amen. Well, I mean, first and foremost, like my heart goes out to you, like for what you went through, and it
Thank you.
seems like you took it as a as an
Learning.
ex learning experience, and I respect you for that because I believe during crazy tough situations like that, we have one of two choices, right? We can face what's going on and we can move that way, or we
Mhm.
can act like it's not happening and go into a shell and basically like hurt ourselves, so to say, right? And mentally. And really like the best blessings come in the ugliest wrapping paper, right?
So
You
true.
talked a bit about having to quickly become the head of the household, how that ego was no longer important, health was important, family was important. Why
Yeah.
you wanted to do this was important. Why you wanted to do anything that you were doing was important. You weren't just showing up to your friend's house just because, like, you were actually thinking through, like, is this what I really want to do right now? And I think that's a really powerful moment for anybody, no matter what the situation is that they're going through or facing. But I respect you heavily of how you faced it and you walked through it first, taking the path of avoidance and essentially an ego-driven, behavior. Like that's the best way I can explain it. And hats off to you. I'm really sorry you went through that, and I had no idea. But guys, it's like these are the things that sometimes we have to remember on the days that we wake up and we're mad because Starbucks gave us, a caramel latte and not a regular latte, right? Like, does it really matter? Like, do we really need to ruin our whole entire day over this? Or can we grasp a little bit of reality and realize, okay, I could be in a situation like Art was in 6 years ago. Like, let me take a step back and thank God for waking me up and for putting me in this position. And you talked about passion, and I love that. Like, to suffer, find something that's worth suffering for. That's huge. And that's really actually it's empowering, right? Because if you don't have something that's worth suffering for, then like there's no passion there, right? Can think about anything. You can think about your relationship with a family member, friend, significant other, husband, wife, whatever it may be. It's like there's passion there, but there's suffering built in there too. And that's the beauty of it. So Art, thank you so much for sharing that because it just hits so much on mindset. And like start and we're going to kind of wrap the call up with it's mindset is everything. So thank you for sharing that story. I really do appreciate you being vulnerable and open about it. And on a brighter note, to wrap the call up, I
Right?
always like to ask folks, I always like to ask folks, so are going into quarter 2, 2026, what are your goals, whether it's business, personal, or both, to wrap up the year?
Very good question. So my mindset over the past 6 months has shifted. I'm pivoting my mindset from a producer to a leader, learning how to team build and learn how to be, lead from the front. So my goal isn't a selfish goal. I actually have goals for others. I want to be able to say that from this point, like this second, somebody that's just now starting for signing, I want to have at least 20 people clear 6 figures from April to December that I have not had yet have a conversation with.
Let's
Obviously, now
go.
that I'm selling at the inbound pace of Hall of Fame, I would love to be able to just keep that pace or scale it out that way, be able to walk the stage. And eventually the goals is to lead our way up to getting that green jacket next year. So those are
Hey,
those.
I love that. And I love when we have goals that derive of other people getting what they need, like it's typically going to push us to help them get what they need. And in turn, like we're all working together and it's one big team. So I love how you're talking about I want to have 20 people. You're not saying I want to have 20 people issue pay this amount. You're saying I want 20 to have 20 people who in some way, shape, or form are on my team and I help them get to that 6 figure marker and they're believing in themselves and they're not going back from 6 figures. And
Exactly.
when you think about that, 20 people, if I can just think of the 20 people that are closest to me in my inner circle, they all made 6 figures, their lives would change, right? And it's like when you can do that and you can see that, it's an amazing thing. And on top of it, guys, with what we do, to your point, Art, you're helping and serving families along the way. So that's a beautiful thing. Definitely not betting against you. And I wouldn't be shocked, Art, if at the end of this year, you have that green jacket because you guys are absolutely killing it. You seem so determined. I love how you said going from a producer to a leader and staying in that leading from the front position. Definitely a win-win, not betting against you. Art, I really appreciate you taking the time out today to be with us for this 40 minutes or so. It means the world. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to being, if you need my